Hey everyone, thanks for joining today's webinar, and I'm glad to be joining with Virtunet Education today, and they're bringing to you a whole lot of ideas around Chromebooks and Google devices. And so today I was hoping to have Chantel and a couple of other people on, but a few technical difficulties have stopped that from happening, so today it's just going to be me. I'm just going to share my screen with you in a minute and then just run through a few of the changes around some of the Google Apps for Education suite of tools, especially around Drive and Docs and Sheets and what's happening around that. Obviously, if you're a Google Apps school, then one of the devices that you'll want to have a look at is a Chromebook. Now, Chromebooks are fantastic for students doing their work. They're so easy to manage. They really do have zero-touch management, so that as a school administrator or as a school who's administering that Google Apps account, you can enroll those devices onto your school's Google Apps domain and then manage those accounts. So you can push Chrome apps, you can push extensions, and you can manage those like you would they were an account. And so Virtunet are fantastic at being able to work with schools, get them going with Google, offer them the Chrome Management Console, and they have a whole lot of other features. So we'd just love you to go check the Virtunet team out and have a chat to them about devices, about what they can offer your school in terms of shared devices, managed devices, and so on. So before we get too much further into this, let me just share a screen with you. This document has been shared out through the Google Plus page. So you might see a link there. If you don't, I will give you the link again and you'll be able to look at that, and just feel free to make a copy of that and have a look at what we're suggesting you are able to access. Now, the short link to this doc is right down here at the bottom, so it's bit.ly and then /new drive. Now, that new drive, the new is capital letters, so just make sure that you understand that that's case sensitive and you're able to have a look at that. I'm also going to just launch a new document here, and this is going to be a collaborative document. And with that document, what I'd love you to be able to do is to be able to write your questions into that doc. So let me just go up here for 1 second. File, new document. One of the great things about Google is that obviously that collaboration is built into the heart of everything that we do. So I'm just going to give this document a title, and then I'm going to let you jump in and ask your questions. Alright, go up to the big blue share button, and with the share button what we can do is we can make this document accessible for you, and you don't need to log in to be able to access this document. So anyone can edit this document live on the net, and what I'd love you to do is just obviously keep your questions short. If you have a question that you need a response to in terms of email and so on, then what I'd love you to do is just put your email address next to your question, and then we're able to email you back answers and so on. So I'm just going to make this new drive 1. Save it. Alright, so here we go. This is the new one. Let me just put it up on the screen for you. If you go to bit.ly and then /new drive and then the number 1, once again just make sure that it's case sensitive. You'll come through into this document here, and we can see a couple of people are already doing it, and then ask your questions below. Alright, so just be mindful that you can delete other people's work, that you can write over the top of each other and so on. So one of the things I want to just ask you to do is just when you're about to write a question, just go down a couple of spaces and make sure that you're in your own space to be able to write. So let me just go back to that document, show you again one more time. It's bit.ly and then /new drive 1. Now, I wanted to open up our Google Drive account. I want to show you what Google Drive looks like in the old version for those of you that are maybe new to Google. And I've also got an account that has the new Google Drive account. and so we can see the differences. There are a few workarounds, there's a few frustrations that I want to work through, and then once I've finished going through my list, what I'm going to do is come back to the question and answer doc and just see what you've got and answer your questions live. So as I'm going, if you've got a question, by all means add it into this bit.ly and then new drive number 1, and I'll come back and answer those questions there. Now, for those of you that are familiar with Google, you'll know that this is the old and familiar Google. Our documents are all stored in the cloud, but if I click on this More button here, I can turn on offline documents so they work offline. And you'll also be familiar with the fact that if a document has been edited and I haven't looked at that edit, it will come up bold here, and so I can quickly look through and see what's changed. And I can also see who last modified it and what time. We go over here, we've got a big red Create button. When I click on that red Create button, I can create documents, which is like a Word document. I can create presentations, which is like PowerPoint. I can create spreadsheets, and I can create forms, which is like nothing else you've seen before. And we've also got collaborative drawing, so students can create and draw and so on. Then on top of that, we have a whole lot of Chrome apps and extensions. And in our next webinar that we're going to run with Virtunet, we're going to be talking about Chrome apps and extensions and how you would use those. So make sure you come back to that one as well. Now, next to my big Create button, I have an Upload button. If I click that Upload button there, I can upload files and I can upload folders. With the uploading files and folders, you can upload just about any type of file or folder. So if you wanted to update, for instance, or upload an image, you could do that. You can upload a media file, you can upload Word documents, Excel documents, and so on. So there's really no limit to what can be uploaded into Google. Your account will have 30 gigabytes worth of space, and that 30 gigabytes only starts to get used when you upload a document that is not Google based. So if I went in here, clicked on the red Create button and clicked on Document, then that document, regardless of the size of the document, doesn't count towards my space allocation. So 30 gigabytes of space for non-Google products and virtually an unlimited hard drive outside of that. Now, as you know, if you've been using Google, you'll be familiar with that view. If I switch over here and show you another view, here's what the new drive looks like. As you can see here, there is a new button here. It doesn't say Create, and the Upload button has disappeared. And so you'll notice that the file structure looks roughly the same. You'll also notice over here that where it used to be Shared with Me, it's now called Incoming. And we have our recent, our start, and our trash. Now, one of the things that you might notice when you come into here is that you don't have the new Google Drive account. To get that, what you do is you click on this cog just here, and you can say, it'll say for you, experience the new Google Drive. And so once you click on that, it will revert to this setting, and you'll be able to have a play with it. At the same time, at any time, you can always go back to the old drive just by saying leave the new drive just here. Now, if you click on the cog and you don't have that as an option, what that simply means is that your school is on a scheduled release track, and with a scheduled release track, basically what happens is that Google release slower. I'd encourage you to go and have a talk to your administrator and just say, can you go and change our school to a rapid release track, and then be able to work on that at the same time. So in our new Drive account, if I click on the New button just here, you see this is where I can upload, create a new folder, and our Upload buttons have now been put under the New account. So just be aware that that's where they're at. Then I've got my Google Docs, my Google Sheets, and my Google Slides. And if I click on More, that's when I get Google Forms and Google Drawings. And then I can go and connect my apps and extensions through here. Now, just be aware, one of the changes with that, it becomes a very long list under this new format. So just be aware, if you're pushing apps and extensions out to your students, that list can become quite large, and it might take a little bit of getting used to for your students or your staff to find their way through it. The other thing that I wanted to just point out right from the start is that if I was going to open up a document, we've just spent all this time teaching people that in the internet, all we need to do is we need to just click a document once, and on the internet, it will open that document. Now, the way that the new Google Drive has been created, it's now what I do, if I click on a document once, it just simply selects that document, and then after I've selected the document, if I click on it again, so double click, then it will launch it into a new tab for me. So we've actually gone back to having double clicks for our documents, which is a little bit funny to get used to. I know there's a lot of people who are complaining about it, and so, I mean, that's just what we have to put up with. Now, the only caveat to that is if we're on our incoming folder just here, if I am in an incoming folder, if I click once, it launches it for me. So, on the incoming folder, what we do is we click once. In our actual Drive account, what we need to do is we need to click twice. So this is going to be an option for some people, but once again, we're just going to have to work our way through it. We can. So in terms of layout, everything is pretty much the same. If I'm in my Drive account, one of the things that you'll notice that initially the settings, the way that the screen is laid out, writing's quite large. Settings. So just something to keep in mind, a little bit of an interesting one for us there. The other thing that I wanted to just mention in terms of how these new documents tend to work is if we click on the document to select it, you'll see that the toolbar up here pops open, and one of the things that we can do here is to this toolbar a little bit more effectively. I guess it's a little bit of a productivity increase, I guess. So before, when we wanted to share a document with somebody, share the link out, for instance, what I would have to do is usually just open the document and then copy the URL, and then send that URL. What I can do now is I can just click once to select the document, and then from there, what I need to do is just click on this little link here that says Show Link, and Control-C or Command-C, and that clicks the link, and then I'm right to be able to share that link out. So a little bit of a new way to be able to do it, but it should be good all the same. The other thing is that in the old Drive, let me just go back to the old Drive so I can show you this. We used to have all these little checkboxes, and we could select documents. Now, the great thing about that was I could select a couple of documents, for instance, and then I could drag two documents across into the one folder, for instance, and move those two items. The other thing that I was able to do is if I wanted to move a document, I could also click that little checkbox, click on More, and then I could say Move To. And if I held down the Control button or the Command on a Mac, I'd be able to move it into multiple folders at the same time. So I'd click that, I'd click Move To, and then as I have got this document here, if I hit the Control button, I can select that one, I can connect, and I can click that, and then would be jumped into 3 different folders all at the same time. And so one of the great things about Google is that because a file doesn't necessarily sit anywhere, file in now. Back in the be able to do on a file structure inside your computer, you can hit Control or Command, and you can select. If I hold down the Shift button, it will connect or collect all the documents that are in there, and then what I could do is I could drag that and move it into one folder. Okay. but to put a particular document into more than one folder at the same time. So just say I wanted to get this demo doc and I wanted to put it into 2 folders inside my Drive account. What I need to do now is I need to push Shift and then Z, and what it will do is a box here that says Add To. Now, when I add to, then I can tick that particular box and put it into that folder. Now, at this stage, I can't find a way to be able to add this into multiple folders at the same time like I used to be able to do before. So I'd have to go Shift Z and then add it to the next one, which is a little bit clunky, and hopefully Google are going to update that. Another way that I can do this is on a Mac, for instance, is hold down the Option key. I'll get this little white box around, kind of lets me clone this document, and I can move it to a particular folder, and it will keep it in 2 places at once. So there's a little shortcut for you just there. With one of the great changes that have come with the new Google Apps, and it's built into the new Chrome, but you might need to add it, is if you go to the Chrome Web Store, there's an extension that you can add to Chrome which will enable you to be able to edit Word documents, Excel documents, and so on without having to convert them. So you can keep them in their Word format, and you don't lose some of that formatting. Now, the easiest way to find it is just type in Edit Word and hit Enter into Chrome Store. To get to your Chrome Store, just do a Google search, and down here we have an extension that says Office Editing for Docs, Sheets, and Slides. So if you haven't already done this, go and look for this one, Office Editing. The free button here, just click it and it will add it to your Chrome account. Now, it doesn't add it up into your browser bar like you'd expect an extension to do. It just adds it to Chrome. And I found that the first time that I add it, I actually need to go in and shut Chrome down, just completely log out of it, and then come back to it, and that will then be able to load it for me. So, in terms of being able to use that, it's a really handy tool. Now, once we're in our Drive account, if I've got a Word document here, normally what we would have had to have done is to open a Word document. It would open it in a preview version, and then would have to download it to work in it or convert it to a Google Doc to be able to edit that Word document. Now what I can do is double-click now, new Drive, double-click to open it. You can see that the Chrome extension launches just here, and the Word document is going to load up in this app now. Now, with this, you'll notice that there'll be one little difference up here. You'll notice that there's a W here that tells me that we're still in our Word document. If we go back to our other Google accounts, when we're in our Google accounts here, you can see that this is the Docs logo here. So it shows you the 2 different ways that you can go. You can see here, this is just an example of a Word document my daughter was working in. It's kept the 2-fold, 2-column layout. It hasn't come up. What's happening around Word, and then copy that document into a account, open up, and then from there you'll be able to import it into a Google Doc, and you'll be able to edit and work in it like it had the same functionality as a Word document. If that made no sense, then I'm going to write a blog post on that in the next week or so and show you how to do it. But just know that it is coming. Now, the only thing with these Word and working in it, this works fine if I want to edit it, make this then a collaborative document so I can invite other people in to write in this doc. One of the things I'm going to have to do is click on share, and then it's going to say I need to convert it to a Google Doc format. Now we know that when we do that, that some of the formatting might be lost, and so it's up to you how you go about it. So at the moment, this is great if you want to just keep things in the formatting that it's in, and then be able to work in it, save it, still be able to email it out as a Word document and so on, but it's just not going to be a collaborative doc just yet. Apparently that is on the way as well. Now, one of the weird things about Google Drive at the moment, well, if I come here to this particular spreadsheet, normally we used to be able to click on this left-hand icon here, and it used to just take us straight back to our Google Drive account. Now what's happening is that when you click that, it actually takes you back to this Sheets, what they call the Sheets homepage. And so I've put there in the notes under point 12 that the Docs, Sheets and Presentations homepage, it doesn't initially take you back to your Drive account. Now this is completely different. All my sheets are here and they're organized, and I can find them using this file picker here. But to create a new sheet, I need to click this little plus button down the bottom. So I don't go up here and try and find a new setting somewhere. It's all down here. Now, I don't know why they're doing this. My suspicion is that they're trying to create a way in which Sheets looks the same on a desktop as it does onto a mobile device. And so in here, what I think they're trying to do is get that same sort of user interface across all. Back to Drive, what I need to do is just click on that little icon on the left, and then I can go back to Drive just here. So it's kind of like a two-step process now, not a one-step process. Not sure if I like it or not. I guess it's just one of those things that we need to be aware of. So in terms of all the different changes, I think that's most of the changes that have happened around the new Google Drive user interface. Once again, there's lots of people who are saying they love it. There's lots of people that are saying they hate it. Regardless, be aware of is, I guess we just have to put up with it and get used to it. So hopefully that's going to save you a lot of hassle. Hopefully you'll have this video to be able to send to people and be able to share it around your staff and so on, and just help them settle in a little bit into the new Google Drive. I know that change is always hard, and so different people cope with that in different ways. Now, you're going to have this document here, and feel free to go up here and go File and then Make a Copy, and you can have a copy for yourself. If you don't have a Google account, one of the things you can do is also go to File and say Download As, and you can download that back down as a Microsoft Word version. I haven't gone through, I just literally hopped off a plane, so I'll go through and fix up all the spelling in this in a minute. Here's the link once again to this particular document that we're looking at right now. So bit.ly/new drive, and that's case sensitive. So let's jump over to this document here and see if people have any questions for us. So not a question, but having problems, voice cutting out at times. Okay, so somebody said just here that the session is going to be recorded. Yeah, so it will be recorded, and you'll be able to access the recording at any time. It will just be on YouTube, and we'll email you out the link to that. So how can I change the ownership of folders? For example, if a staff member has moved or changed positions. Great question. So in our folders here, if I come into the folder and click once to get my information, if I click on this one here, More Options, what I can do is I can do a few things with it. The first thing is I can color of the folder for people. Some people like to make it pretty. And with that, what they can do is they can click on this link just here, and they can share this document out. Now, the owner is the person who's created it. So if they went and shared it with a new account, that then they can say they could make them the owner of that after they've shared it. So basically what you would do is you would go in, share that with somebody else, and then that person could then go and make them the owner of it after it's been shared out. So that would be the easiest way to be able to do that. Okay, next question. Chantel's got some stuff in there, which is great. All right, looks like there's no other questions. So in this document just here, once again, you can go back to it. What we've done is we've just put in a link to a conference that we're running in September and October in Sydney and in Adelaide. And there's going to be a whole lot of strands and activities that you can choose. The difference about this conference is that, generally speaking, when we go to a technology conference, somebody chooses an elective for an hour and then they swap and they'll go somewhere else for another hour, and then they'll swap and they'll go to somebody else for another hour. And so people walk away feeling quite inspired but sometimes overwhelmed. And so with our conference, what we're going to do is get you to choose an elective or choose a strand and then stay with that strand the whole day. So you get to immerse yourself in that tool, you get to create resources, and you walk away confident. Now, you'll notice that a couple of these strands, like this one here, Power Up Your Pedagogy with Google Apps, you could dive in and spend a whole day looking at Google Apps for Education and how you can use that with your students. There's some other Google strands here, so how to use Google Plus as an LMS, how to use Google Tools to create learning analytics. That will be a great one for people who are looking at Google Forms and creating personalized learning environments. There's a whole lot of other tools that you can use, like Google Maps, to create custom search engines. You can do all sorts of things with that there. But it's not just about Google. You'll see here that Microsoft are also going to run a strand where you can check out Office 365. We're going to do a strand here on Minecraft in education. How do you get going setting up a Minecraft account? How do you use that with your students? For those of you who are looking at Chromebooks as a device, then we're going to have Blake Seufert, who did Australia's largest Chromebook deployment, has deployed over 750 Chromebooks into his school, has another 750 Chromebooks just about to be released, and he'll show you the most up-to-date, up-to-the-minute best practices about using Chromebooks, deploying Chromebooks, managing them. Blake is going to be on our next Hangout in a couple of weeks' time, and we'll be talking through Chromebook management and use. And so looking forward to having him on the next webinar that we're going to be doing with Virtunet. So you can check out all those details there about the Using Technology Better conference. Virtunet are going to be a part of that, and if you use the code Virtunet when you register, you'll get a $25 discount. The prices are already incredibly cheap for the two-day conference. It's only $297 anyway. So just going to come back and check this document one more time, and I will just see if there's any other questions. If not, we'll wrap up this this call. For the person who's just saying this one that dropped out while I was answering it, maybe if you just type your email address in, or if you send me an email to mike@usingtechnologybetter.com. What I can do is I'll be more than happy to go through and answer that question again. But like we said, we will be creating a link to the recording from this video, and we'll email it out to you, and you'll be able to watch that back as well. So once again, guys, thanks for being a part of today. It's obviously a lot quicker. We don't have a couple of presenters on and talking about our findings, but hopefully you found that to be handy. If you've got any questions, shoot them through to me at mike@usingtechnologybetter.com, and I'll be more than happy to reply to your question and be able to do that. I can just see one quick question coming in here, so I'll just wait a second for that one to come through. If you check out our, Chantel will send you through an email with our next webinar that we're going to be running in a few weeks' time on Chromebooks. And also I encourage you, all her details are in that document just below, and have a look at that and hit her up about some quotes on prices and so on. Can Google Docs open ODT files, open Office files? You can't open Office files at the moment. You can upload them into Google Drive and have them as a backup in the cloud, but you can't open those Office files just yet. Interestingly enough, Google bought a company called Quick Office, and with the Quick Office, what that does is enable you on your mobile device. So if you have a mobile phone or if you're using a Chromebook and so on, you can download the Quick Office app, which was the precursor to the extension that's just appeared in our Chrome store, and you can launch and create Word documents, edit Word documents and so on your mobile device without having Word and so on that mobile device. So maybe go and check that one out. So good question here about why are schools using Google Apps and Chromebooks over notebooks and iPads. Over iPads particularly, one of the issues that you have with iPads is that they're hard to manage. And one of the other issues that you have is that you get locked down to Apple's infrastructure. And so basically, one of the great things that I love about Google is that it is account specific. So one of the great issues I had teaching with students was if they brought a notebook, for instance, to school and they didn't have that charged, all their work would be sitting on that notebook, or if they were working in an app on an iPad, that work sits inside that app. And with that, if they don't have that device or the device isn't charged, then as a teacher you've got to come up with something else to do with them in the interim. Now, one of the things that I love about Google is that because it's account specific, not device specific, if a student doesn't have their particular notebook or if they don't have their iPad, what they can do is they can just go to any device that has a browser on it. And with that device, if they log into their Google account, what they can do is they can access all of their documents, and if they're in a browser that supports Chrome, then they can access all their Chrome apps and all their extensions. So when you're working in an iPad environment, if you download an app onto that iPad, it sits literally on that iPad. If I download an app, or as you can see here, I've got a number of extensions across the top. These are all account specific. So I have all these extensions. If I logged into a different device, then what I can do is, as soon as I log in, all of my apps show up, all of my extensions show up. So ease of use is one, account specific rather than device specific would be another reason you would want to consider it. In terms of iPads too, one of the issues that schools have is getting information off their iPad into the cloud, for instance. One of the workarounds on that is to have Google Drive installed on that iPad. But what you can do there too is, for instance, take a picture inside your Drive account. It automatically goes to your camera roll, but it also uploads to Google+, and you can take things off there that way. So there are workarounds for that as well. But I guess in a short answer, they're more robust. There's zero-touch management, so you enroll them into your Google Apps account, and then your administrator of that Google Apps account can push all the settings to that device. So you can have them come to your students already pre-enrolled with all the proxy settings, all the Wi-Fi settings already set up, all their sharing permissions already set up with the apps and extensions already there, and so on. So in the next webinar that Blake runs, he'll be talking to you about what he's going to do with his next lot of Chromebooks, is have them shipped to the students directly, so they don't even have to come to the school. The students will just come to the school with their device already pre-enrolled with all the settings already set up, and they basically just open the lid and they start their work. So from that point of view, in terms of the amount of time your IT guys are using, re-imaging machines, working out network settings and solving problems, you basically do that through your Google admin panel. So that's a great little addition there. Okay, let me just double check. No more questions left below. It looks like it's all quiet. I'll keep my eye on this document for the next little bit. Once again, if you've got any questions, you can certainly email Chantel. Here's her details here. Give her a call on that phone number. And you've also got my email address there if you'd like to shoot me a question about something maybe more specific. Next webinar there is the 27th of August, and we'll be running it just like this. The only difference is we'll have a couple of people. Blake will be a part of that. And it's all going to be around about the benefits of using Chromebooks. We'll show you how to use them. We'll show you how to push apps and extensions. We'll give you some examples of how they're being used in different school environments, and give you some user case scenarios and why you might want to consider them. So once again, thanks for your time. Appreciate you taking time out of your afternoon to be a part of today's session. I do really appreciate it when teachers take their time to learn, to ask questions, to engage. We do realize that things are changing inside Google in terms of the user interface. As more and more changes come out, we'll certainly let you know about those. But hopefully you can take that document, you can take this video, show them to your staff, and just upskill them a little bit before those changes roll out across your school domain. Once again, thanks again, and we'll see you on the 27th at 4 p.m. for our next show. I want to thank Chantel once again for organising this.